theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive with Em and Warren.
Suzy Wrong, welcome back to Joy Drive.
Hey, Em, are you getting ready to be punched in the face while you're doing a set on stage one day?
I am not preparing myself for that, but look, I think maybe it is a climate where we'll have to now.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it a thing now?
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not as well. But also,
because if you're looking at social media, there are people actually defending that behavior.
It's a very interesting situation, and I think that I don't really know how I feel, to be totally honest.
I don't think anyone really knows how they feel. It's very weird, but I think we should never sort of get into a discussion of whether it's right for someone to be doing their job and getting punched in the face, and then having some people think that, it's justified. I don't think it can ever be justified.
Yeah, and to be honest, he probably didn't even write the joke. That's the thing. He probably had ghostwriters that wrote the joke.
And just read it.
Yeah, and just performed it.
Well, actually, I'm thinking it's important that Chris Rock comes out and makes a statement, because, he is pretty much the victim in this scenario, and then I think there's a lot of anger on his behalf, and he needs to come out. Well, obviously we heard that he's not pressing charges, but it would be helpful if he comes out and says something so we all calm down a little bit. But I have great admiration for both of them, and I think both of them were partly wrong. Not to say that it was any equivalence there, because someone was a lot more wrong than the other, and it's sad. And I also feel like I've been in situations where I'm shooting my mouth off, because sometimes I do panels or what have you, and then and I'm thinking, wow, actually someone can just actually walk up and slap me in the face. And then also on the other hand, I've been to things where I get really angry, or sometimes I switch the channel and watch channel 7 by mistake, and I feel like I'm filled with so much rage. I want to hit someone in the face. So I'm glad it hasn't happened to me yet.
Yeah, but I mean, Suzy, you wouldn't follow through with that, would you? You'd feel the rage, but you're not going to get up and punch someone.
Interestingly, when I was about 5 years old, now this is a little story that I've only just recalled because of what's happened. When I was about 5 years old, I was at my aunt's house, and then they had I think some neighbor's child who was probably about 10 years old. So at that stage, I felt like that child was a lot bigger than I am, but he is a little child. And he had made some jokes making other people laugh about my femininity, because me being looking like a girl and not being a girl, that sort of thing. And I just kind of walked across the room and slapped him in the face, exactly like what Will Smith had done. And the only feeling I had was embarrassment and regret. And it did nothing to sort of calm me down or make me feel better about myself. It kind of made everything worse. So it was a lesson that I learned very, very young, in how to deal with a rage, in those situations. And it surprised me that Will Smith, someone with so much power, didn't sort of sit back and plot revenge in the way that I imagine Hollywood people would do. And instead he did the childish thing of just walking up there and slapping Chris Rock over the face. It was, I guess because it was so out of the script, out of what any one of us would expect, that it just shocked us.
Yeah, definitely. I think that certainly he did resort to just getting really hot-headed very quickly. And I think he probably feels very much like you felt, Suzy, as a child, which was, quite embarrassed and potentially, he seemed remorseful to the Academy at least.
Yeah.
Now,
it's a very sad thing that happened.
Now, Suzy, last week you gave us homework, which of course was to watch what the winning movie is for the Oscars.
Best Picture. And we had the top two, which of course were CODA and The Power of the Dog. And I've got to say, I watched both over the weekend, and I thought, wow, Suzy, this is great. We've got two really good movies. So thanks for your suggestion, but we weren't sure which one was going to win until yesterday, of course.
Yeah, in case we forget, in the middle of a lot of hullabaloo, that the winner for Best Picture at the Oscars was indeed CODA. The word is an acronym for Child of Deaf Adults, and in the film, Ruby is the only hearing member of the family. Both parents and her younger brother are deaf, so they depend a lot on her in their daily lives, especially in the running of the small fishing business. Ruby acts as a bridge with customers and associates to ensure that operations run smoothly. When opportunity arises for Ruby to study singing at college, Tensions rise at home. Not only is the family worried about losing the lifeline of the business, we discover that the anxiety has a lot to do also with the rift that exists between hearing and non-hearing members of the family. CODA offers wonderful insight into a segment of our community that most of us know little about. It is an extraordinarily tender film with great nuance and humor. It is also surprisingly simple, which meant that although a sentimental favorite, there was never any certainty that it was going to win Best Picture yesterday. Actor Troy Kotsar's win for Best Supporting Actor, however, was entirely predictable. He's just fantastic in the film, playing Ruby's exuberant father. CODA is based on a French film from 2014, La Famille Bellier, which controversially did not cast deaf actors. This American version not only used authentic and appropriate casting, it is superior in every way. It also won Best Adapted Screenplay, making a total of 3 Oscars, and you can see it right now on Apple Plus TV. Em and Warren, did you manage to catch the film last week or was it yesterday?
I actually watched it this morning, so it is fresh in my mind. Suzy, we actually went to the extents of checking online the odds of which films were going to win so that we could hedge our bets, and we didn't do it right. So I was watching it this morning, but I've got to say I so appreciated the complexities of the relationships in this film. I think that it did such a good job of exploring those relationships between hearing and non-hearing members of the family, as you said. I think from the perspective of a CODA, my housemate actually is a CODA himself, and he was completely moved by this film. And I remember when he saw it, actually it was bad of me, I didn't watch it straight away, but he was like, you must see this film. It is so powerful. I think he thought that it portrayed the life of a child of deaf parents really, really well. And I loved it. You laugh, you cry. I love a film that has you feeling both.
Suzy, you know what I really loved and was reconnecting with this song.
Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel.
Now, of course, that is Joni Mitchell, and it's Both Sides Now, which is something that I remember my parents used to listen to on the radio when I was a complete kid. So it was really interesting reconnecting. And I loved Amelia Jones's voice in the movie. I thought she was just absolutely amazing, and hearing her sing. And the other thing I really liked about it is we haven't seen a lot of deafness portrayed on screen, and I think I really enjoyed observing that and being forced to watch an English language movie with the subtitles on to try and understand what they were saying. I thought that was a really good experience. And I also found myself, when I was watching it, I was really quick to judge the mother as being quite self-centered. But, we also see her perspective, and we feel the frustrations of both Ruby and the family equally. And I thought that was great in the movie, that you could see just the frustrations of what was really, really going on. And, I love the fact that there was the brother, and the brother needed to be validated and feel worthy. And I found that, he had to handle things. He wanted to feel like he could handle things within the family, but at the same time, he had frustrations with his sister, who obviously, was the one who could solve things because she could talk. And I thought, that was really well done. But I really liked the fact that, he is also missing out on his opportunities to shine, as well as Ruby missing out on her opportunities to shine. And I thought, I really enjoyed the movie. I loved it.
Oh, that's a good point. I think it's important that it was like a heartwarming, uplifting film without compromising the fact that there are some people in the world who are disadvantaged. And you never sort of get tricked into thinking that, it'll be all okay at the end. Like you're still are very certain that, these are 3 people living together who cannot hear, and things are going to be hard for their business. And I think that's an important thing that they kept, which didn't make it too Hollywood glossy. And, you're right about us not having seen a lot of stories like that. Marlee Matlin, who plays the mother, she was the first non-hearing or deaf actor to win an Oscar, and that was, in the early 80s, I believe. And so it's a really, really long time between the 2 winners. And I hope that this is a new frontier that people are exploring, because, and it's not just hearing, but all kinds of disabilities, I think there's so much for us to learn. And this is a good example to show that you can, offer an opportunity for people to learn about their neighbors, but also be really, really entertaining and really, really sort of heartwarming and make a really great film in the process, and then you get people understanding what we are like, and also giving people new careers, because that actor is bloody marvelous. And he, like many people with these disadvantages, they don't have a lot of opportunities. So it was great that this has happened for him. He won the award, and hopefully we see a lot more of him because he is super entertaining.
Absolutely. I think that that's actually another really cool thing about this film. Not only is it a fantastic film, it's super entertaining and a delight to watch. It also, with this whole Oscar buzz and the acceptance speeches, which I also watched as like an extension of our homework, Suzy. And those speeches were also just so powerful in reiterating the sentiments that you just, put forward, which is that there should be more, disabled or deaf people seen on screen, because I think that it is such a powerful thing to see the story of deaf people and also of coders with actual deaf and coders, like that actually makes, total sense. And I think that it was even more powerful. You could really sense that the dad in this film was a dad, and he had that real connection to, and I also know that the lead, the mum, is also a deaf person who has hearing children. So they live this experience, like that's such a powerful thing to see on screen.
And that's why they acted so well.
Exactly.
I loved the tight-knit family, and I loved the fact that they protected themselves from, the hearing world. And I just how close they were as a family unit whilst it presented problems. I love that. A couple of things that I was a bit critical of was, like the setting up of the business, for example, the co-op. I felt like that happened really, really quickly, and we missed out on a lot of stuff that could have happened in the setting up process of that. But even though bits of the plot were predictable, you've got the crush on the boy, the flamboyant music teacher, etc. Somehow the movie compensated for that and was done really, really well. And I found myself laughing at stages. It was a bit like a comedy, but then I was even crying at some of the predictable scenes. So I think they meshed them together really well.
Yeah, I think it shows that wholesome filmmaking, it has its rules, it has its sort of very usual sort of tropes, but it is very skillful. You have to be really skillful to get it to really work, because it is a little bit corny and schmaltzy, but when it works, it really gets to you, doesn't it? It really
Absolutely.
is a moving piece of film. And I think, I think most people will enjoy it. And I think it's so important for us to watch movies and get reminded that not everybody's like you. I think there's so many films that do this thing where they think, oh, everybody's the same. There's universal experience. But I think it's so important that we see things that that we can feel a level of sort of intimacy with, but then also be reminded that, people are different.
And I love the way, I don't want to spoil it, but during the concert, they gave us the perspective of, we look at them and we think, oh, the parents are getting a bit irritated and bored. What would it be like? And then all of a sudden it just goes silent and we feel what it's like from their perspective. And I thought that was really good that they gave us that insight.
Yeah, that was great. Because leading up to that scene, I was thinking, oh my goodness, like much as I'm enjoying the film, I can't imagine if you are a deaf person and this whole film was about music.
Yeah.
How ironic is that?
True.
Yeah.
And also the soundscape of this film is incredible.
Yeah, and
like
not
all of the
auto-tuned.
sounds. Like even when Ruby goes to visit the like gorge or whatever, and you can hear all of the birds and
the splashing.
Yeah, exactly. There's like the soundscape is incredible, which is it seems like a kind of that is interesting. I didn't even think about that, Suzy.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the edge of my seat during that scene because she mentioned there was a log under the water. I thought, oh my goodness, don't tell me it's going to go down that track. But it didn't. I was really happy that it didn't.
And one thing I really loved was the frank sexuality in the film. The mother father
Yes.
couple and how they were so into each other. They're well into middle age, and there was a scene about how they had to not have sex for a few weeks because of a fungal infection. That was really funny. And then and how they were having sex because they can't hear themselves. Sex at home was really loud and noisy. I thought that was handled really well.
There was some, really like fun and jovial moments, which were really fantastic.
And of course, the music, like you just said, Em, with the soundscape, the music wasn't overly produced and it wasn't auto-tuned. It was really raw, and I loved it. I thought it was great. What are we watching next week, Susie?
Now streaming on Binge is the new British dramedy series This Is Going to Hurt, about a doctor working a chaotic labour ward in the National Health Service, starring Ben Whishaw, a gay actor playing a gay character. Fancy that?
Fantastic. So This Is Going to Hurt, streaming on Binge.
Sounds good, Susie.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. You're on Joy Drive.